The following opinion piece, A Generational Struggle, was written by D. Terry Yarbrough, a black retired captain with the Shelby County Sheriff's Department in Memphis, Tennessee. Mr. Yarbrough is the author of 2 books, Misguided Badges, a personal memoir, and Blind Democracy, The Shame of Hypocrisy. Both books are now available on Amazon. We, the people, whether born or naturalized in the United States of America, a global power, represent a melting pot of free, multiracial, multicultural, and diverse individuals deserving of common dignity and mutual respect. Unfortunately, we embark on a fragile democracy built on generational hypocrisy, double standards, and broken promises. As fellow Americans, we must join hands and defend our constitutional democracy against the consequence of white nationalism fueled by racial beliefs, political ignorance, and authoritarian governance. America currently faces alarming concerns and fears regarding demographic shifts and right-wing ideologies. A surging black and brown population has inflamed radical support nationwide for MAGA, Make America Great Again, political movements. Republican extremists focus on limiting change and keeping America a white-majority nation, fearing the possibility of minorities ever becoming politically and socially dominant. Every day we witness the audacity and grievance of MAGA politicians who have gained notoriety and weakened the foundations of American values. Many instigate hate and violence, ignoring the rule of law to boost political power and defend racial dominance. Thankfully, despite the racial hostility, political ignorance, and economic uncertainty that undermine our fragile democracy, Americans have much more in common than what separates us. We must courageously remain vigilant against the MAGA extremism and Republican anarchy that enable autocracy and threaten democracy. These right-wingers conveniently forget that God created humankind to thrive within a civil society distinguished by shared humanity and moral decency. Like many others, I believe that the calculated defiance of Republican extremists amounts to intellectual treason, a corrupt or lawless betrayal of constitutional rights and public confidence. Given the political climate, Republican extremism is more likely to incite violence in urban cities across the country. Community activists should continually raise public awareness and peaceful protests and organize voting efforts aimed at winning elections and ousting narrow-minded right-wingers who enable political violence. On the other hand, law-abiding citizens must band together to find common-sense solutions to bridge the senseless racial and political divide in our representative democracy. Since the founding of America as a sovereign country, the political and social climate has been toxic for black and brown citizens. The original framers of the Declaration of Independence proclaimed that all men are created equal under the law. Yet, America has never fully delivered on the promise of human equality. The fundamental values of freedom, justice, and equality proclaimed by our founding fathers often remain evasive, especially for black and brown citizens. However, hope for essential change looms, promising a brighter future. The contradiction between the U.S. Constitution's original declarations and the white founders' actions established hypocritical precedents that have negatively influenced America's moral compass, cultural norms, and political discourses. The historical hypocrisy has opened the door for the racial and political ignorance demonstrated by today's Republican right-wing agenda. The agenda arbitrarily casts aspersions on people of color while revealing the absurdity of extremist attitudes and behavior. Racist beliefs and incendiary rhetoric have trampled constitutional rights for black and brown people who deserve an equal playing field in our democracy and justice system. Nonetheless, MAGA extremists too often impose racial discrimination beyond the pale. Arguably, these Republicans typically struggle to embrace change over tradition. They refuse to operate within the moral parameters of unfiltered truth and reality. On November 26, 2020, according to David Brooks' New York Times op-ed, The Rotting of the Republican Mind, Brooks asserted the following: "We live in a country in epistemological crisis in which much of the Republican Party has become detached from reality. Moreover, this is not just an American problem. All around the world, rising right-wing populist parties are floating on oceans of misinformation and falsehood. What is going on?" According to Dictionary.com, an online resource, Epistemology is a branch of philosophy investigating human knowledge's origin, nature, methods, and limits. David Brooks has been a columnist with the New York Times since 2003. He is the author of The Road to Character and most recently, The Second Mountain. Truth matters little to Republican members of Congress who seek to whitewash Black history and ban books. The baseless conspiracy theories, falsehoods, and disturbing lies confirm the political hypocrisy and racial ignorance that smear our democracy. American history books must accurately reveal the truth about the rights and wrongs of our yesteryear. American values, freedom, justice, and equality serve as the standard bearers of human dignity and civil rights, defining who we are and how we view our great nation as the sweet land of liberty. America stands tall as Lady Liberty raises her glowing torch, assuring compassion, justice, and fairness for all, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, skin color, religion, or political affiliation. Under the present White House Republican administration, the anti-DEI, anti-immigrant, and deportation policies have recklessly defied the nation's foundational values and rule of law. According to news reports, immigrant children born in the United States are denied birthright citizenship, deported without due process, and separated from their parents. We remain appalled by the administration's crafty rhetoric in resisting federal court orders and dehumanizing immigrant men, women, and children. The defiance of judicial orders, due process, and human rights for undocumented immigrants residing and working in America constitutes a severe departure from the U.S. Constitution. Remember, Republican political movements to attack and dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI programs are profoundly un-American. DEI programs ensure fair access and opportunity resources to avoid discrimination. Strangely, the term DEI persists as a political and social scare to right-wing ideologies. Ultimately, it continues as a generational struggle, justly for Black citizens and other minorities in America. In closing, never give up on the American values and priorities that uphold our representative democracy and rule of law, and keep America great for us, the people.